Hello, welcome. We're going to look at Quest for the Dungeon Master game from TSR, released in 1984. This is based on the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon that ran from 1983 to 1985. Normally when I show a board game, I just kind of jam it into a video with a bunch of other stuff, but this video is just the board game, and there's nothing special about this game. I just thought I'd show it. I like the artwork, and it's a very basic game. So it's a family game for ages 6 and up for 2 to 6 players, and on the cover you can see the characters are all playing the actual board game. And another reason though I thought to do this was that this cartoon's kind of back in the news this year. Earlier this year, the Dungeon Master was brought back and added to the game Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. And then Hasbro, just last month, announced a line of action figures, Dungeons & Dragons Cartoon Classics, and it's making a few action figures, not every character, but the first wave, I don't know if there'll be more, has a handful of characters from the cartoon. So let me flip the box over. It's a bit crushed. There's no color here on the back. It just kind of gives you the rundown that you're trying to rescue the Dungeon Master from Warduke, which is the guy with the big blue helmet. And yeah, it just says, reach the end first to win. And here you can see 6 character playing pieces, easy to understand rules, 1 game board, 54 cards, playing time 30 to 60 minutes. And here it is spread out. It looks a little different in reality, as the character pieces actually have colored backgrounds rather than white. Something you will notice though, there's no dice. You think with Dungeons & Dragons, the pen and paper game of course has unique dice, and it's a board game, but there's no dice, there's no spinner. All the movement is done through cards. So I have the camera as high as I can get it on my stand, but it's not high enough to fit the whole board in frame. Before I open the board, let me just quickly go over the instructions here. There's no manual, it's printed on this tray insert. So each player gets dealt 3 cards, and then you pick a card each turn, and use those cards to move around the board or do some other things. I'll show you each of the cards. And you get a free turn if you land on the same space as another player. Now, the only unique space on the whole board is a shortcut. Everything else is just a plain old space. So it is a bit disappointing that they didn't incorporate, other than the cards, they didn't incorporate the villains onto the board. There's pictures, but there's no kind of action spaces, no even draw card spaces. You just draw a card at the start of the turn. So what there is shortcuts. And the wording here isn't very good. It says to take a shortcut, you must play a card that has the same color as the shortcut arrow and the same character that is near the arrow on the board. So all the cards have a white background. I mean, the drawings on them have color, but I think they changed something along, like after they wrote this, or it just was never written very well in the first place. I think what they're saying, or the way I would play the game is, you have to have the card that matches the shortcut, the character shortcut, which will make more sense when we look at the cards. Basically, if you play one card, Uni, because Uni isn't a character you can play as, so you don't need to be playing as one of these 6 characters to use the shortcut, even though each shortcut has a name. So if you played Uni, that moves you 1 space, and if that happens to land you on Uni's shortcut, then you can use it. I think that's how it works. So here's the 6 characters. Their name and class is written underneath their picture. This is Sheila the Thief, Diana the Acrobat. Now Acrobat, I have to look this up because I'm not an expert on Dungeons & Dragons. I've only played the pen and paper game 1 time. Most of what I know with D&D I learned through computer games like Pool of Radiance. So Acrobat is a subclass of Thief, so basically they're both thieves. Eric is a Cavalier, which is a subclass of Fighter. and Bobby the Barbarian, Hank the Ranger, and Presto the Magic User. Alright, start at the bottom here. It almost fits, and there will be a blog post, as I usually have with these videos. I'll leave a link in the video description where I photograph everything so you can get a closer look. It might be easier to see than within the video. So, of course, here are the characters all ready to start, and then Dungeon Masters at the end. There's Warduke, and the characters are also drawn throughout the board. And like, these are the shortcuts they have around the board, and they say the character's name, Bobby. Like I said, I don't think you need to actually have Bobby. Now, the colors do match like the character backgrounds, but then each character would have its own shortcut, except like I said, Uni. Uni isn't a character you play as. That's why I think you basically just have to play the character card to land exactly on the shortcut to use it. So, just move it to the top. You can see some of the bad guys are drawn in here too, but like I said, they're not incorporated into the spaces. They're just, there's nice background art. Just more shortcuts throughout the board. Places to put the cards, draw pile and discard pile. My board's a little warped too, so sometimes the characters don't stand too well. Let's place them in spots where they will balance. I think the edges of the board are sticking up in spots. I'll just place them around. Not actually playing, of course. So, last thing are the cards. I said Uni's number 1, so if you were here, you played a Uni card, then you move on, and there you go, shortcut. Bobby moves you 2 spaces. Just move them out of the way here. Sheila is the 3 moves card. Presto, 4 spaces. They do have their name and class on the cards as well. It's Diana for 5, Eric is 6, and Hank is 7. Then the unique cards are Dungeon Master. Player in last place takes the lead. So if you play this card, it doesn't necessarily help you unless you're the one in last place. And you have, as you draw a card, you'll always have 4 cards in your hand. I guess unless near the end of the game, if you have 6 players, I guess it could be possible that you've played so many cards that there aren't as many left. I'm not sure. I've not played this in a long time, and I definitely never played with 6 players. Sure, I have Dungeon Master's also. That's the one card that's damaged. That one's ripped. But Dungeon Master, he is on the back side of every single card. So I don't know how you pronounce all the villain names. There's only a few here because the heroes all have just regular names. But this guy Wenger, there's a bunch of him. This is to move another player back 5 spaces. And Tiamat, a dragon, says trade all your cards with any player. So you take a chance you'll get better cards if you have some you don't care for, like a bunch of 1s and 2s. And the last card is Bullywog, just drawn on the board here with Warduke. It says move another player forward 10 spaces. So I'm not sure why you would want to do that. But I guess if you just don't have cards that allow you to move, you're stuck helping other players. And there's just some blanks for some reason and a proof of purchase card. And that is Quest for the Dungeon Master. Like I said, if you want to get a closer look at all of these items, check out the blog. And thanks for watching.